while my guitar gently weeps. The thief cometh not but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. John 10:10, King James Version. My favorite cousin and one of my mom's best friends, Sharon Carrito, passed away in 2013. She'd been fighting acute myeloid leukemia for quite some time, and it finally took its toll on her body. We were all devastated. I grew up hanging out with Sharon and her two daughters, Angie and Christy. They were like sisters to me. I hated that they now had to deal with the same kind of heartache I had just experienced. And to make matters worse, their father, Tom, would pass away the following year. It was all just too much to bear. Life as I once knew it was changed forever. All of my immediate family were now in heaven. There were times when I'd be alone and just break down and cry. The grief was heavy. I was never a drinker, and long gone were the days of smoking pot. Prayer, my new family, work, and antidepressant medication got me through. Music had always been my helping hand, and I knew that it'd be good for me to listen, perform, write, and record again. Right around that same time, Porter called me to ask if I'd be interested in writing with him and a kid named Jackson Nance. He said Jackson was really young and talented and had some interest at Warner Brothers. I jumped at the chance. I knew I needed it, even just for the social aspect. I wanted to shake off some of the rust of sitting idle for so long. We met at the store one day when I knew that I wouldn't be swamped. It felt good to get back at it. I could feel the dreamer gears in my mind starting to run more smoothly. The business had been doing pretty well for quite some time, but the tide was shifting. I had started selling gear with Steve in 2010, started MCP in 2011, went out on my own in 2012, and it was now 2014. I noticed several major changes that were affecting my financial bottom line. The competition was starting to snag up all the local gear. My friend and guitarist Tom Bukovac now had a music consignment store in Berry Hill called Second Gear. My old partner Gabe had his store that was constantly searching for instruments to buy, and the big boys like Guitar Center, Gruen Guitars, and Carter Vintage were always on the lookout for musical gear to flip. But the biggest change was Reverb.com. When Reverb first came onto the scene, it was a welcome change. Musicians and store owners had been at the mercy of eBay to sell their gear online. eBay's fees and guidelines seemed to be skewed towards the buyer instead of the seller. Reverb had now changed that for everyone. I had been preaching for years that the music gear buying and selling business needed something like it. In fact, I even thought at one point of starting my own online outlet for musicians. I had gone as far as getting several friends involved, like Brian and Nancy Eckert, and my neighborhood banker friend Brian O'Neill, to see if it was possible. After several meetings and setting up a focus group asking musicians their wants and needs, we decided to throw in the towel. We would have needed to raise some major money to get it off the ground. It would have taken years and years and a whole lot of risk to make it happen. But that's exactly what Reverb did. In the end, they raised $47 million to launch. Reverb had now made it easy for musicians to find what they wanted anywhere in the world and have it shipped to them. And Reverb made it incredibly easy to list your instrument and show the seller how to box it up and send it to their buyer. The other major thing that Reverb did was give everyone that visited the site access to a buyer's guide. Now everyone knew what their gear was worth. I knew in my heart that it was only a matter of time before we'd have to close up shop. The competition was too great. The veil of what everyone's gear was worth had now been lifted. There weren't any deals to be had anymore. I knew I needed to look for an exit plan. Music. That's what I felt like I had been put on this planet to do. I wanted to figure out a way to get back into it without having to go out on the road. I didn't want to leave Lisa and Evan at the house while I was off touring. I was not going to miss Evan's early childhood. For the next 2 years, I fought a losing battle. I tried and tried to work extra hard to find gear. Kevin was working nonstop to find product too, but there just wasn't enough to be had. We even tried to do more guitar and banjo lessons, but that still couldn't keep us afloat. I met with business advisors to see if there was anything that I could do to raise my profitability. I did everything I could to save the guitar shop, but I knew deep down that I'd need to do something else to bring in more income for the family. That's when I came up with the idea of Music City Pickers Live. I had been playing a few songwriter shows around town, and I thought I could possibly put on my own show. Gordon Kennedy and I had struck up a solid friendship, and I thought he'd be perfect to team up with. One day out of the blue, he said that he had just played a venue in Franklin called the Little Brick Theater, and thought it might be a cool place for us to have our shows. I was familiar with the theater because it was located in the factory at Franklin where Lisa and I hosted the Franklin Bridal Ball. I went over one day to check it out and talked to a lady named Tammy to see about renting it for our shows. She loved the idea and wanted to help us any way she could. Gordon and I started rounding up all of our songwriter friends to let them know what we were getting ready to do. I researched how to best sell tickets online and get the word out. We put our website and social media sites up and hired Nicole Witt at Brickshore Media to help us with a press release. We had several friends that so graciously volunteered to help out as well. We had our first show on November 3rd, 2016. The lineup was incredible. Lisa hosted the night and introduced everyone to the stage. Gordon and I opened the show along with Larry Stewart from the band Restless Heart, and then had a brief intermission. Then Ricky Skaggs and his wife Sharon played a set with Gordon accompanying them. It was a huge success. The audience seemed to love it. We had invited a lot of press to the show, and we received rave reviews the following days. We felt that we had hit gold. After that debut night, we were confident that we could continue on with the concept and start doing weekly shows. Some of the shows that followed were magical, particularly when Rory Burke sang the song he co-wrote, Most Beautiful Girl, for Charlie Rich. The audience was in awe hearing that classic from one of the men who wrote it. Another special songwriter moment is when Tommy Sims got up with Gordon and sang the song that they co-wrote, Change the World, that Eric Clapton made famous. The songwriters that played our show were spectacular. We had another epic moment happen when Gordon and his Beatles tribute band played at the theater. Peter Frampton got up and played While My Guitar Gently Weeps. The crowd went absolutely berserk. I did too. I had always appreciated Peter throughout the years, but after hearing him play live, I became a fan. Lisa had been hosting the shows and would occasionally sing with Gordon and me. She was a songwriter as well, and she had co-written a song years before called Sky Full of Angels that had become the Southern Gospel Association's Gospel Song of the Year in 2007. She seemed to really love putting on the shows each week and really helped get the word out and find sponsors for the event. When 2017 rolled around, I noticed a difference in our relationship. Something had changed, and I didn't quite know what it was. I felt she was upset with me somehow. She seemed uninterested when we talked. She also seemed to spend most of her time with Evan, even when I would come home from work. We continued on nonetheless. We had our morning ritual of having coffee together in the sunroom. We'd sit and watch the birds and discuss life in general. She never really said that there was anything particular wrong, though. She just seemed unsettled. I also noticed that she started to get frustrated more than usual any time I would grumble about my aches or pains. She was really into health and fitness, essential oils, and yoga, and I thought she just felt like I needed more of that in my life. I thought our marriage was pretty solid, though. We'd go visit her parents in Mississippi, go on little trips with Evan to Gatlinburg, and have dinner at the table every night after I'd get home from work. Yes, sometimes our days were mundane, but I figured more exciting things were just around the bend. I just needed to get the income situation figured out. I told Kevin that it was just a matter of time before the guitar shop was going to close. I advised him to start looking around to find another job. I didn't want to leave him high and dry. In fact, I probably stayed in business 3 or 4 months longer than I should have just to give him a job. I knew he had a wife and a new baby, and I figured he needed the money. One day while I was driving into work, I noticed that there was another business for sale 2 doors down from me. When I saw how much they were asking, I was shocked. It was way more than I had imagined. I came home and told Lisa, and we both agreed that it would be best to go ahead and sell. I called a broker, and before I had even put it on the market, I had someone interested. They made an offer I couldn't refuse. They agreed for Kevin and I to rent the back warehouse from them for a year so we can continue to stay in business long enough to sell the rest of our inventory. It was going to be cramped, but it was an ideal situation. I accepted the offer. I had made more than enough profit from the building to cover any losses that I had from the business. I was so grateful even though I hated to have to sell. Kevin and I had 30 days to move all of the store merchandise and sell off anything that would be too much trouble to move. When I told Lisa, I thought she would have been happier. I thought she would have seen that I would be able to spend more time at home now. I figured I'd just buy and sell instruments on the side and do a few road gigs here and there to pay for the bills. I thought wrong. She didn't hardly react at all. I'd soon find out why. I truly don't want to go into the details about the following months between Lisa and I. We have both discussed what happened with our son in our own way, and he doesn't need to read about his parents' marriage in this book. Essentially, our marriage failed, and Lisa and I would divorce a couple of years later. Rejection and abandonment. I felt rejected after Lisa left. She no longer wanted to be married to me, and it felt like a dagger to the heart. I didn't feel worthy, loved, or accepted. I was lost and felt hopeless. My whole world had been turned upside down. I also knew that no matter how quick I'd bounce back, the ripple effect of the divorce would last a lifetime. I was familiar with the feeling of rejection. I had experienced a lot of it in my life, from not making the cut for a sports team to losing major record deals. None of them came close to the pain I felt during my separation with Lisa, though. The pain was on another level. It was like a punch in the gut. I've read where the mental anguish of rejection is in the same region of the brain as physical pain. No wonder it hurts so bad. Looking back, I realized that most of my pain was self-inflicted. I really took Lisa's leaving hard. I had to take a long look at myself, whether I wanted to or not. In fact, I saw 3 different Christian counselors. All of them came to the same conclusion. I wasn't just feeling rejected, I was feeling abandoned. Not only from my wife, but my father dying several years before, my mother dying, my aunt, my cousin, my dog. I was forced to digest a stew of awful emotions. I tried to focus on God and Evan, though. I knew I needed to be thankful for what I did have in my life instead of looking at what I didn't have. It took me months to see what God had blessed me with, not what the devil was trying to take away. I had tried over and over to reconcile with Lisa, but I wasn't successful. You see, divorce was not what I wanted. Never in a million years. I can say with all honesty that there was no infidelity on my part, nor did I ever physically abuse her. All I wanted was for our family to be together. I tried everything I could think of to keep us from breaking up. In the end, none of it was enough. Nothing that I said or did made a difference. Not only did I feel rejection and abandonment, but fear. I realized what divorce meant, that my covenant with God would be broken. I made vows to stay married until the day I died. I knew the impact that would have on me and Evan. It was all terrifying. The tons of emotions at times were too much. I would sit and cry over my inability to keep our family whole. All I could do was go to God and ask for forgiveness and strength. There were 2 big positives from the separation and divorce, though. I drew closer to God and Evan than ever before. I spent time with both of them, and it was healing to my soul. I dove into the words of the Bible and found peace and comfort I so desperately needed. I read about the extreme struggles that Jesus had with rejection and abandonment, and that encouraged me more than anything. Jesus faced rejection in Luke 9:51 through 56 NIV. I also saw how Jesus responded to it. As the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem, and he sent messengers on ahead who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. But the people there did not welcome him, because he was heading for Jerusalem. When the disciples James and John saw this, they asked, "Lord, do you want us to call fire down from heaven to destroy them?" But Jesus turned and rebuked them. Then he and his disciples went to another village. Jesus didn't turn around or give up. He continued on his mission. Jesus felt the sting of those two dreadful emotions many times in the Bible. His family members, John 7:5, his friends, John 13:21, his community, Matthew 13:57, and even his own father, Matthew 27:46. He rose above it, literally. He persevered. I used his story to guide me, and I was able to find my way through the darkness. God doesn't want us confused, anxious, depressed, or feeling unwanted. No way. We are his children, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. 2 Corinthians 6:18, King James Version. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. Psalm 139:14 NIV. Give thanks to God of heaven. His love for us endures forever. Psalm 136:26 NIV. So don't be afraid. You are more valuable than a whole flock of sparrows. Matthew 10:31 NLT. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. John 14:18 NIV. Thankfully, I realized that early on in the separation that the devil was behind all of the doubt and unrest. Once I unveiled the true culprit behind all of the turmoil, I was able to deal with it a lot better. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. To steal my joy, to kill my self-esteem, and to destroy my marriage. He'll stop at nothing to make life on this earth as difficult as he can for us all. My Christian upbringing, prayers from my friends and family, my devotion to God, and my awareness of Satan kept me from spinning out of control. I knew God would be there for me. He would see me through. Praise his holy name. One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Proverbs 18:24 NIV.